Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing good. Doing good. We got tiki drinks going.
I was gonna say, look at those drinks.
Yeah.
That's fancy as shit. I just have a mug root beer like a sad person.
Cool.
So what's going on, guys? Long day at work today?
Oh, it's like that every day.
You guys been really busy lately?
Yeah, we've been super busy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It just hasn't stopped. I thought this year was going to be crazy, like slow, and then we were going to go out of business because of COVID, and it's been the opposite.
Did you guys slow down at all, like in the beginning when everybody was freaking out, or?
Not really. Yeah, we have very similar like clientele to like what you have, which comic books, and I think we even have some clients that have gone back and forth between us and you.
Foreign Fright.
Yeah, Foreign Fright and Third Eye Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to your podcast actually, and I'm the one to blame for the masks.
Awesome.
I used to have before Sage, I had a partnership with the guy who does a lot of Third Eye artwork.
Yeah.
And the company was called Pizza Party Printing, and just for shits and giggles, we made a mask out of paper to sell for Halloween, and Steve from Third Eye saw it and was like, "Oh yeah, can you do that?" We did a run of them for him, and then good luck.
I see she's shaking her head. She wants no part of it.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Have you guys always done paper stuff, or do you just kind of do it here and there?
I started doing paper a long time ago just to do some like show posters.
Did you guys just recently get that flat stock press?
That one is an upgrade. We had a flat stock press, an American Tempo, but we just got that one in January.
I was gonna say, I just saw you post about it the other day, or you were printing like a large, was it like red on black paper or something?
Yeah, it was cool. I like those one color jobs like that.
One color jobs are fun if they're cool.
Everyone's like, yeah, one color job.
Yeah, for real. How did you get into like doing so many sleeves? I feel like you guys are like the guys I look at and I'm like, these guys do fucking sleeves like every single day.
Yeah, we do a lot of sleeves nowadays.
This guy, he always wants to make cool shit, man. He always wants to push everybody.
I always bite off more than I could chew.
Yeah.
And then I figure it out along the way.
Yeah, but once you figure it out, it's good to know like you're the guy to go to for that kind of stuff. It was like when Foreign Fright came to us, we did sleeves, but we never did like, he always wants like, oh, we want a 5-color sleeve, like full, it's long and big as possible. And we weren't really set up for that well. And that was kind of like the reason why like he kind of stopped working with us, is because every job he had, he was like, oh, I want like 5-color sleeve on this side, 5-color sleeve on this side.
Yeah.
And on our press, we weren't having the greatest of luck. And I don't know if you've been paying attention on our Instagram, but we've been like figuring out a better way to do sleeves for like a year. And we finally ended up getting those new action palettes that had like the dual sleeves. So there's no stretching. Like we can,
that lift up?
Not the lift up ones. No, we had those and we didn't love them because there was just too many things going on. And then when you like, if you did want to do web glue or something for a hoodie, you'd get overspray all over like the thing on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
So we ended up buying the dual sleeve palette, and then we did water-based adhesive. So we have like the M&R palettes that we use for hoodies, and then we have the dual sleeve now for like regular long sleeves. So I'd be comfortable doing that kind of stuff now, but back then when we first started doing stuff for him, it was a nightmare to be stretching like a small, Bella sleeve over a regular sleeve palette and then hoping it has good registration for a 5-color print.
Yeah.
So
with that,
so I didn't end up, I just told him, I was like, hey, I don't think it's gonna be, work out at the time for us to do that. So I don't know, you guys picked him up, so that's cool.
Yeah. Actually, I picked him up in more than one way. Like, he's a nice guy and everything, easy to work with. He's not the best at like, he doesn't know how to run a business really.
He got bigger than he thought he would get, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because
so
when I started dealing with it was when we very first started.
Yeah. Yeah, he exploded, and he wasn't prepared for it.
and he kind of, I think, got behind on things, and then he ran out of money, and then he wound up owing like 300 orders that he needed to fulfill with 9 different designs. And so I didn't find any of this out until like December. And so, I enjoy printing his stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell you what, let me see the back end of your store. And, he has pretty good sales going on. And so I was like, I'll print all your t-shirts pro bono, but, I want 35% of your company. And each month I get paid out 35% of your profits.
Right.
And so I bailed him out, and I told him I'll handle all of the money. I'll figure out all of that, and I'll make sure that all of the orders get fulfilled and have my guys do that. So
right.
it wound up working out really well, and the money more than covers the cost of my guys fulfilling them.
Right. That's awesome. So you just kind of like took over.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to worry about the money or anything. He just can focus on the artwork and promoting it. And
well, it definitely seems like his strong suit
yeah.
is the artwork part of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He just needed somebody who he has so much experience from Pizza Party and
yeah,
doing all that stuff.
So I've definitely followed Pizza Party guys. How long were you there? You were a partner there?
He was the founder.
I was the founder.
Oh.
Yeah.
What made you want to leave that?
Don't ever get in a partnership, man.
Dude, I fucking know. I did it myself.
Yeah, 50-50, and then like no one can agree on things, and you don't feel like
one guy's working harder than the other guy.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I eventually told him that I'm quitting, and my buyout is all of the printing equipment, which is fine because initially I wanted just to quit and be done with it and take a vacation.
Right.
But then I got thinking, well, I worked really hard for all this stuff.
Yeah, and you learned a skill basically.
Yeah, and he was just going to liquidate all the printing stuff and just do the brand. And so I was like, my buyout is all the printing equipment, and so I was able to keep all of the employees on that we had. And
so is it the same shop and everything?
Yeah, it was basically the same shop. We just changed.
Just changed the name.
He just did the artwork, really. He
right.
involved in any printing stuff, so it was like a very easy split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Artwork and get somebody else to print it.
Yeah. So is that still a thing then? Is he still doing a brand under the pizza name or?
Yeah, he's still doing the brand under the Pizza Party name. I do think I kind of won out in the deal though.
Yeah, no, I'd say, because I mean, you're making more money obviously as a printer than you were with the brand, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We just bought this warehouse that we're in.
Oh really?
And moved in past September. Yeah, it's an 8,300 square foot warehouse.
It's awesome.
So it's a ton of room, and it's got cool history too.
Is it like an old building?
It was built in 1951 as like an ink manufacturing facility.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, the world comes full circle.
Yeah,
it also used to be a Harley Davidson dealership.
Oh, that's cool too then.
Yeah.
They didn't leave any bikes in the walls or anything, right?
No, unfortunately not.
Basically a shell when we got it.
Yeah.
And we're still like a year later, we're still working on it.
Yeah, it looks a little rough back here.
Dude, I fully get it. I bought my building. It was an old train station, like an old feed mill, part of a train station. And you hopefully won't be able to hear it in this, but they're doing renovations next door right now. Yeah. And it's been that way for 10 years. We've just okay, well, let's do this part this year. Let's do this part this year. And it's all out of my pocket too. It's
yeah.
It's what can we afford this year to redo? And luckily, when they finish next door, the whole building will be completely updated and renovated, and no old sketchy electric. That to me is the scariest thing.
Yeah.
Dude, because my house is the next road over, and every time I hear the fires, sirens and shit in town, I'm shop's on fire. That's my first thought every time. So now I can like have a little more peace of mind that that's hopefully not the case. But
Yeah.
You know, before we got this, like, so we moved Pizza Party into this warehouse, and it was a cool building. It was right next to a river, though. And what was it, 2 months after we moved in on a 3-year lease, it was like 1.5 feet of water flooding inside, and
it was horrible.
It was terrible. We lost almost everything.
Yeah,
I see that with shops online all the time. They're like, you know, there's a bad storm or something comes through, and then their whole shop's flooded. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, especially with like shirts and shit too, because you can't keep them.
Well, there was a shop that was there before us that the landlords didn't tell us about, that 6 feet of water was in there and put them out of business. Then we move in.
And he didn't say a word.
They didn't say a word.
I asked them if it flooded, and they told me no.
Yeah, and it ruined. It went up to like about halfway up our flat file, and it was all of like my stuff at the bottom. It's like every drawing,
of course,
college, all my like everything I ever made was gone. Luckily, all of his like screen printed stuff was still there, so that's it. Like didn't make it up that far. Like just the top of my.
Just enough to screw you over.
Enough to completely ruin any. There's no evidence I was ever bad at drawing now.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
So you started the flood then, basically.
Yes. Yep. It was all a ploy so that nobody would ever know that I was.
Right. You've been excellent since the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense.
Can't prove it otherwise.
Came out of the womb with a pencil and a tattoo machine.
So how did you guys get started? Way back.
Go through your history, girl.
Yeah, I've got a long history of screen printing. I've been screen printing for 22 years. And it started like everybody else with a band.
Yeah.
Being 14 years old and need t-shirts.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been in, you know, punk bands and things like that. And I mean, 14-year-old me didn't have any money, so I went to Michael's and stole like a
speedball.
Yeah. And kind of started from there.
Did you just gradually get more and more equipment and grow things, or did you go in and out of printing?
It was kind of in and out of printing throughout the years. It was always kind of like the backbone of like the go back to and the constant. Right. Because you know, going to shows, I would always like be like printing like patches or T-shirts to sell at the shows. I think there was one point when I was like making popcorn at shows, which is the best thing ever, because it just fills the room with the smell of popcorn, and then everybody wants popcorn.
Dude, there's so much margin on popcorn. You'd be making so much money at shows selling that.
Yeah, and everyone loves it.
He's always been an entrepreneur, so if he gets to like start a business, he does.
I've definitely never seen anybody sell popcorn in the show, so that's pretty good.
Very creative.
Yeah.
So he went into his basement, and he was in his basement until 3 years ago, when I met him. He was still screen printing in his basement.
Yeah, I guess. But that's like further on down the line.
Yeah.
So the only experience I ever really had working in the shop was when I was 18, and I went to this like this shop. And it was interesting. The owner was like an electrician, so he wasn't there most of the time, and it was cool because we could just hang out, listen to music, and, you know, print stuff. But then I started realizing that he was super racist. And so one day I just grabbed.
I don't think there's a little racist, so.
Yeah,
there's either racist or there's not racist.
Well, there's closet racist, and then there's guys who are just going to say whatever the fuck they want,
right, in public,
no matter who's around.
Yeah.
And so I realized he was that guy, so I wound up like stealing like a flash and a few screens and a bunch of other stuff and packing up my car and just drove out.
Well, you don't have to feel bad from stealing from a hardcore racist.
No,
yeah,
that's racist, so it's fine.
My thoughts, exactly. I went, you know, on to like print like, you know, like punk rock patches and stuff for like anarchist bookstores and feminist like t-shirts and underwear and stuff like that.
That's cool. So then how did you get into Pizza Party then?
So I was doing this for a while, like, and then I started a print collective called Dysphoria. And it was me and 3 other people. And we started, that's when I bought my first like real press, instead of like, just the hinges, and a conveyor belt dryer. And we ran out of like a show space down here called Nowhere House. And we would print just like band stuff that came through. Never really made too much money, but enough money to keep, it just.
Yeah, it was like a hobby that kind of paid for itself.
Yeah. And so we did that for about 5 years, and then the rest of them got tired of it. And I wanted to go more legit and, make money doing it. So that's when I got together with Jimmy and this other person, and we started Pizza Party.
They were doing movie nights.
Yeah.
They had movie nights, and they would screen print things for the movies.
Which is where the name really initially came from. Is we would buy pizza, and we were at like a bar and show movies, and people would come and buy the posters, and it was cool. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely like one of the things that like drew me to like Pizza Party and you guys is just like we have a very similar style and the shit that we're into. Like all of us here are super into like movies and comic book stuff and motorcycles and loud music and stuff like that. So it's just the art to me is what draws me to like this industry. And like
absolutely.
Yeah. So like I feel like that's all me and you, I feel like both of our shops just like do a shitload of really cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's so much fun. And I guess like no matter how hard it has ever been for me, that's the thing that's always kept me like going and keeping with it. Is it's just like it's so much fun to like collaborate with these cool artists and with these cool bands and working with other people, and that's really the best thing that I get out of screen print.
Well, you get to be creative without having to create the artwork. He's got a really good design sense, but doesn't know how to draw or anything. So being able to be a part of the creative process, collaborating with me on stuff, and I see like how involved he gets in it. It's like his favorite thing ever. So it makes sense that that's where your shop went.
Yeah. And actually, screen printing is what brought me and her together.
He screen printed my thesis. And I
it was the union thing.
Yeah, it was my thesis.
Oh, that was your thesis?
That was my thesis, yeah. So I was working for a brewery, and I screen printed. I like pitched them like a screen printed poster set for their like flagship beers, and gonna use it as my thesis for my senior year in college. And I didn't know anything about screen printing. I thought I wanted to be a screen printer, but the classes at the college I went to were really exclusive. Like it was like the cool kids club,
Yeah.
Like not cool enough to be in the cool kids club. I never knew anybody well enough to get into the classes because they were very, very exclusive. You kind of had to like know somebody to be able to like weasel your way in, So I just pitched these posters in the hopes that I would find somebody that would like teach me how to print them, and I could like help out. And Jimmy, his old business partner, was a professor at the school that I went to, and so I like reached out to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have to talk to Dan about that." And
so wait, your old partner was a professor?
Yeah, he's
like an adjunct,
an illustration professor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just taught a few classes at Micah, so yeah, he did all the artwork there. So his Pizza Party was like his part-time kind of thing.
Right.
So he just sent me over to Dan, and I showed up to Dan's house in like a January. It was freezing, and I had no idea that he was printing out of his basement. I thought I was going to like a shop.
He's like, "Welcome to my basement."
Right. No, he opened the door and he just started giggling, and he's like, I don't know, he had a bloody nose. It was so weird. It was the
That's such a sketchy.
It was the worst first impression I've ever seen, and he just was like giggling because you hear his laugh. It's like a really infectious giggle, and I just like You're like, I'm Monica. It's like 20 degrees out here. Can I like come in? I had like ridden my scooter over. I was freezing. And then he like shows me into his house, and there's the basement. There's like people picking up orders, and like there's a whole screen printing shop in his basement. And I'm just sitting there like petting his dog. I'm like, oh God, what have I gotten into?
Yeah, and within the first 20 minutes of her being there, you know, I was like, hey, you know, like this other like letterpress shop that I'm friends with. They were having like a holiday party that night. They invited me to, and I was like, you want to go to this party tonight?
He's like, do you like beer? And I was like, yes. And he was like, do you want to go to a party with me? And I was like, maybe.
I'm so good at picking up on girls.
I know.
Dude, obviously it worked. She's sitting there. That's a trick that not a lot of people try out. You know, giggle really creepy, have a basement, and have a bloody nose.
There you go. Yeah, lead a girl into your basement, giggle. And I also made a very bad first impression. So I look like I'm really cool. He played Black Sabbath in his basement and told me it was his band, and I believed him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So you weren't very cool then if you didn't know that he wasn't in Black Sabbath.
I was like, yeah, we get around a little bit.
Yeah. He was like, oh, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, right.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We wound up hanging out until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Like after that party, we bought like a
whole box of wine.
And we drank most of it.
Yep.
Classy. In the street.
Yep. Yeah, just bopped around. I took an Uber home, and I was a dog walker at the time. I had to go throw up in rich people's toilets all morning. It was great.
Nice. That's awesome. So who does the artwork at the shop then?
We don't have an art department. I try to do as much as I can, but I have a full-time gig with tattooing and stuff. So we just kind of have like a hard, like, there's no art department if we don't have the artwork. Like, if our employee that knows that I train on Photoshop for 10 minutes can't help you, then.
Right. So who does like the sim process stuff? Do you guys send that out, or?
I do all of the separations. One of the things that I feel is my greatest strengths is like I'm really good at engineering like these jobs, and you know I'll take these full color images and separate them and think about like what screens to use, which Pantones, you know, like try to work out every single detail that I possibly can, and then put it into notes on the screens.
Right. Did you like self-taught all that stuff, like just watching videos on what's best way to do that? As far as, because I feel like that's definitely a skill that takes a while.
I was self-taught at first, but to really learn the simulated process, I took classes, online classes with, oh man, what's that guy's name?
Mm-hmm.
A dude in Arizona. The guy, the T-Seps guy.
Okay. So he has like an online class or something?
Yeah, he has separation classes, and it's like you download it, and it's like a whole like course program where he has pre-recorded videos walking you through like everything. You know, how to set up your Photoshop, how to like separate in Illustrator, in Photoshop, things to look out for when you're fixing up the artwork initially. And it was a really good course, and you know, for all screen printers out there, I highly recommend if you want to learn how to properly separate stuff, you know, take that course.
And it wasn't super expensive, right?
No, it wasn't at all. It was, you know, like $150.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had some people reach out to me recently on Instagram, and they were like, hey, like, we hear all these people talk about cool stuff like books and like things they learn from. Can you start putting that in the notes of like when you post the podcast? I was like, yeah, I should probably do that. So I'll make sure to note that, you know, that guy's link or something in the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, he even has like, you know, like exercises, like all the files for you to do it along
like
with.
test
you.
ones?
Yeah, so you can, and you know, he has a design too for like screen printing shops, you know, like if you want to teach like a couple of people how to do this stuff, you can buy like a course for like your entire team and have them do it, and you can follow their progress.
Right. So, I guess you just got into that, and I mean that definitely seems like one of your niches now for sure is doing a lot of sim process prints.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Like I enjoy doing that more than like any other screen print.
Yeah.
He hates doing the stuff off the Illustrator files with like the big fields of solid color.
Yeah, just spot color shit.
Hates it.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely like the best. I feel like as a printer, that's the most rewarding feeling. Is you're kind of like slightly risking it a little bit when you're doing the steps on that kind of stuff, because you're like, I think this will work. This will have good, here and this mesh or whatever. And then you put it on press, and then after the first test print, it comes out fucking amazing, and you're just like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Always chasing that feeling.
Yeah, that's the best. I feel like that's the most rewarding thing. Because it is. It's one of those things. It's like not like, there's probably a million print shops, and there's probably only like X amount that like have that skill to do that. So like when you get that, it's definitely more rare to like achieve that, I feel like. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
I usually am like, go grab one in the back, shirt and back, throw it on for me.
Yeah. We do that all the time too. Like I have a rack of shit that's just like stuff I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Like I'll never wear it, but it's here. You know what I mean? Or like events that we printed for that are like really cool. Like I'll just keep one because I'm like, my kids won't give a shit, but like if I brought them in and I was like, hey, your dad did this, they'd be like, oh, cool. And then they're just fucking walk away. But like to me, I'm like, that's awesome.
He does that to me. He brings it home and shows me. He's like, look at this. And I'm like, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Good job. Like he's always good at it. So.
Mm-hmm.
I started like, you got, like how you have like sample t-shirts, like, all the blanks, like here's your Gillian, here's your Bill Canvas.
Yeah.
So I just have started just like printing on those sample t-shirts, with cool prints, different processes, different types of inks, so I can not only show them like the different garments, but also the different styles of printing and what we're capable of.
Right.
Everybody wants quality stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a big seller. Do you guys get a lot of walk-ins then?
No.
Sometimes, but with COVID, like.
We haven't really had a chance to experience it because our old shop was located like you couldn't find it at all.
Right.
So there's no foot traffic.
So for your new place, you just haven't had the experience yet.
Right, because COVID hit. We had the place kind of up and running, and we had the windows getting installed, and then COVID hit, and the weather was like just getting nice, and people started walking around. But then we had to keep the door locked all the time.
Right.
So
yeah.
We haven't really experienced that.
Well, that's like one thing. Like with us too. Like we don't have like barely any walk-ins, but when we do, that's the first thing they look at is that rack of like cool prints. Yeah. And I do have some specifically. I'm like, all right, well, this one's water-based, this one's discharge, this one's plastisol, but this one's how we got this to look like a 8 color using 4 colors and like so on. So
like
I feel like it's really cool. Right, it's really cool to have that stuff. I want to talk more about like the sleeve print stuff.
Sure.
Did you just start doing a lot of that because of the customer? Or is that something now, especially that you're part of Foreign Fright, do you just like try to do that on every print that he has?
Well, he likes to have the sleeves because people love to buy it. And it's true, like the sleeve prints sell like crazy online. So, I mean, all you screen printers out there, you guys want to make some money, do some sleeve prints, and people buy it up.
Well, big thing is like
metal bands also like to do a lot of sleeve prints.
He's like a huge t-shirt fan. So like when we go places and we go to shows, he wants to buy the like fucking cool $50 t-shirt, So like when he sees a t-shirt with sleeve prints, he's like, fuck yeah, that's cool as shit. He's really good at the stuff that he wants to buy.
Oh, I got so mad at King Diamond that he didn't put sleeve prints on that long sleeve I bought.
Like they have a long sleeve with no sleeve prints on it?
Yeah, what is that?
It's like $50. Like, really?
I can't buy a shirt. Like, I cannot go anywhere and buy a shirt. It could be like going to a show where I really, really love that band. Like, I still can't buy it. Like, I look at it and I'm like, that's like a $2 Gildan.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. But really the reason why I go and buy it, not just because it's a cool shirt, but also, I'm there because I love this stuff and obviously I want to support it. And so it's like the same thing with vinyl records. I'll buy vinyl records because they look cool as shit. How many times do I put on a vinyl record on?
You just have it just because it's a collector's and it's cool.
And it's just, but it's like, I like to support, different bands. And
No, I agree. We've done that before. It's just, I usually do that with prints. Like any show I go to that has a screen printed poster, like I buy it because you can't see it from here, but our whole wall, all our walls are covered in screen printed posters.
Yeah.
And we don't print posters. So it's just like, I've never tried. I've done them.
Water-based T-shirt, you should probably
Yeah, no, I know we probably could. It's just I've never got into it. Like,
where are you guys located?
In upstate New York, like near Syracuse, Binghamton.
If you guys are ever in the area, you should come down and check out his process. Yeah,
no, there's a couple of shops near you that I know that I was thinking about just making. It's probably not even that far. Like what, 4 hours maybe?
It's like 3.5 to New York City.
Yeah. So it's 2.5 for us in New York City.
Okay.
So
a day-ish trip.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be too bad at all.
There too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, you come out here anytime. What is there like a big difference between printing a shirt and printing like flat stock, other than like, because I know some people like to really layer inks rather than like just doing butt registration or anything.
They each have their positives and negatives.
Yeah.
Like posters, you put down like one color at a time, let it dry. So a lot of times that key line, the black or whatever that's drawing everything together, isn't until the very end. So it just looks like a bunch of blobs, and you're like, oh God, I hope I lined everything up all right. Until you get to the end and it comes together, or then it doesn't, and then you have to redo it.
Dude, that sucks. I didn't think about that. Like if you're doing like a 10 color and black caps it off, like what do you do if you did all those fucking prints and then you find out the last one doesn't work out?
Oh, I've done it and it sucks. That's when I usually throw stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's why
it's warranted for sure.
Yeah, that's how I got so into like all of the like super technical aspects, is because of flat stock, because of how much of a pain in the ass it is. But like,
well, isn't there a thing with flat stock too that you're supposed to kind of like pre-dry or pre-shrink the paper so that it doesn't
run it through the dryer? But you don't have to. You can just get some drying rack, put it on the drying rack, and do one color at a time.
Yeah, I've always thought about getting into it. I just don't have the space right now, especially since we bought that new press. Like I'm fucking dying on space. And that's the thing, is like I own the building, so like I think next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like another 40 feet on the end of the building and have more space, and then I could probably get into it. But right now I feel like if I tried to add a Saturn or whatever, like I wouldn't be able to do it because I don't.
Do you have a manual press?
Yeah, that never fucking gets used.
What is it, a Riley Hopkins press?
Our main press in the shop is an M&R Sidewinder. Okay. But like we just do everything on the autos. Even if somebody comes in there like I need 10 shirts, like we'll still just throw it on the auto because it's so much faster. But I keep it around because I always feel guilty that if I'm ever going to get rid of it, like today I could be like, oh, let's sell this manual, we never use it, and then there's going to be something that comes up where I'm like, fuck, I wish I had that manual. So we keep it around. I have a couple Rileys, but we just use those for live printing.
Because I do have like a vacuum, like platen that I don't.
Oh, for the press that would fit on a Riley arm.
And I don't mind just sending it up to you, and you can just try it out and print some posters. You don't have to buy equipment. No, from Ryan.
He built one out of. He had to like drill every hole.
Yeah, I've had one before. I made one out of an old table, and it had lips on it, and I drilled all the holes, made the grid, hooked it up to a shop vac, and I did it to print on boxes.
Yeah.
But I never did like actual posters on it. And then it just sat in the corner, and it was one of those things. It's just like any flat surface in the shop just collects shit. So I was like, I ended up, right before we got the new press, I ended up giving it away to like a local artist who does like a bunch of her own prints. So I gave it to her, and she was stoked because I was like, hey, you want this free vacuum table? She was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy to share and, help her out and give people things that need it more than I do. So,
I mean, that's what I love about screen printing as well, is everybody wants to learn.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people to talk to about it.
Yeah.
And help out.
That's my favorite part about the whole thing. It's just like, I'm super into it. You know what I mean? I might not be the actual printer on press, but like everything to do with the industry, like it's my favorite thing. Like, yeah, it's my business, but it's also my passion. Like, that's the reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So it's just fun. Like right now, like we're just bullshitting, and it's just like, this is fun to me to just like talk to other shops and see what they're doing. And what are they slightly doing different than we're doing? But yeah, it's fun. Do you guys do plastisol and water base in the shop, or just one or the other?
I generally stick to plastisol because I feel like that works the best with like all the simulated.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do like some discharge, if it's like a white, white on black, one color, and it's, like a big shield, like
right.
You want it to breathe, because I always think about like the customer, and like if I was to wear it, I'd want.
So a lot of those big prints that you're doing, like oversized stuff, you're just doing it all plastisol. Are you doing like a highlight white, or are you like double hitting the underbase, or how are you doing that?
Actually, I don't double hit the underbase. Sometimes I'll add like a top white. The only time I really add a top white is if I'm trying to like round out the image and like tone down some of those colors that are going on top.
Yeah.
But no, we just use like the Bright Tiger, Roflex Bright Tiger white, print it on a 200 mesh screen, and then run like our rock iron on it. And it just turns out super bright. I put everything else on top.
So the iron is definitely helping you guys out then, as far as getting that more smooth and more, brightening it up by getting all the fibers down.
Yeah. It makes a nice smooth surface for the rest of the, and then I can just like really fine tune those other heads and really get the pressure nice and low, because it doesn't really need to like have a bumpy surface it needs to go on. And it just fits really nicely.
Do you have like a limit on the sleeve colors?
No, I like to do as many as I can.
You just fucking love sleeves, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out cool.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked. We have so many long sleeve shirts.
Yeah, and it's so hot.
So hot.
So you have, I mean, I've never printed on a rock, so I don't really know how like it loads and stuff, but you have no issues with loading like long sleeves or anything, like no stretching issues or anything?
I originally got into sleeves. I don't really do too much contract printing, but there's a print shop down here called Maryland Brand Management. And these were the guys like, do you remember like the Big Johnson t-shirts?
Yes, I just did an episode and I talked about Big Johnson t-shirts.
These are the guys that did Big Johnson.
Nice.
They're like the only people we contract for.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be the only reason why I would. Is it? It's not still a thing, is it?
Huh?
It's not still a thing, is it?
No, it's not. He told me though that they had so much money. He said they had 10 employees, and they would be bringing in $40 million a year off of Big Johnson. It's insane.
I feel like that brand wouldn't fly today.
No,
absolutely not.
Nope.
No, he does a thing now called Puppy Love.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's just puppies with like weird patterns in them.
For every state, every scenario.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make up for all the Big Johnson shirts.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there was a client in my shop yesterday wearing a Puppy Love shirt. Yeah, Puppy Love shirts are everywhere. They sell them at stores, they sell them at beaches. It's crazy.
All of his connections with Big Johnson, he gets it like throughout every store, every gas station throughout the country. So
just so everybody knows who doesn't know what Big Johnson is, it was just like a funny, like cartoon looking design on the back that always had to do with big dicks.
Yeah. It's like a
That's all it was.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the T-shirt that was always banned at school.
Dude, that's the thing. That's what I talked about in the last episode is like my dad had a bunch of Big Johnson shirts. And like I wore them to high school. Like I was like knowing that, you know, the teacher might not get the joke or see like the thing in it, the reason why it's called fucking Big Johnson. And I wore those to school. And so many times I got sent to like the office where they make you turn it inside out. Yeah, I was that kid.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, back to sleeves.
But
oh yeah, I contract printed for him, and he was like, "Well, can you do like just like one of the sleeves?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have any sleeve, you know, pallets." And he was like, "Just buy 5. You have a 10 station press. Just buy 5, you know, and do it every other. It indexes pretty fast." And so I did that, and I was like, "This is kind of fun." And recently we did get the lift up like double.
Yeah. So those are the ones you have then?
Yeah, they come standard is like what 3.5 inches wide. I asked them for 5 inches wide because I like to do bigger prints on it. And I also want to start getting into doing like more like pants and sweatpants and
yeah.
I'm doing joggers recently.
Yeah.
For winter.
Yeah, I should have asked. I didn't even bother to ask, but I should. Our pallets we just got, I think they're all like maybe they're 4 inches wide. So we print max like 3 3.5 or 3 3/4 or something. But I wonder if they would have made them bigger for me if I would have asked.
It wasn't any extra money, which is
right.
the thing that surprised the shit out of me.
Well, I think they make them to order. You know what I mean? Like if you order, they make them. So they don't just have stock of that shit sitting around. So
yeah,
we had done that with the hinge pallets like you have. Like they sent us one single one that lifts up, and as soon as I got it and opened the box, I was like, this isn't gonna work because it has that like green lip on both sides. Well, ours did anyway. And I was like, if you spray this, it's just gonna get web glue all over the outside of a long sleeve, and it's gonna look disgusting.
See, I kind of stopped using the web glue. I just used
just water based.
Yeah, the roll-on stuff.
Yeah, we do too. I'm just saying, like, we only use web glue, and people keep telling me like, oh, we use water based for those too, but we just have to scrub the pallets like every like 4 spins or something. But we just do web glue for hoodies only, and then we do water based for everything else. So, like I said, we don't have a problem with loading hoodies sleeves on the old pallets because they're a lot wider. You don't really have that issue of stretching. But we were always getting all these customers that were like, oh, I want pallet canvas, this and that. And they get extra smalls and mediums. And it's like you're stretching it on the pallet.
And that we had the same issue. You know, that rock arm is just like paper like that. And you're just stretching it out. I mean, we couldn't even fit smalls on there.
That's exactly my problem. And that was back when we were starting to do the foreign freight stuff. And he was like, oh, I want a 5-color sleeve. Well, it's like the problem is that you're stretching. You don't want to have to stretch anything. No. But when you're stretching it on there, even if you have good glue, after it flashes, that stretch is just going to want to kind of try to contract, and then you're getting like white poking out everywhere, and the prints are just not that great. And I don't want to put anything out. Like I could have been one of those shops that was just like, fuck it, let's just do it and send it out. But then the prints would look like shit. And it's like, I don't want that at all. I'd rather tell the customer like, hey, like we're not suited for this than like, yeah, let's just do these massive oversized sleeves with like 5-color prints on it all the time. And like I said, I tested like 4 or 5 different sleeve palettes until we got these, and we really like these. So, and I think these came out like right after you probably got the doubles. They have the new ones where it's a double, but it's they're so thick that there's no deflection. So
I haven't really had any issue with that with the ones we got.
Yeah, I don't think we would have had issues with deflection on those either. I just didn't like the whole, like, lift it up, pull the thing out, slide it on. Because we wanted to load through the neck. We didn't want to have to load through the cuff.
Yeah, I do the cuff first.
The cuff.
Took a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah. Do you put the hook on it, too? Did you get the hooks where you, like, put the garment over it?
No, like, you know, everyone's getting, like, both sleeves.
So you don't hang.
Yeah, so I put both sleeves on, and that's was really a selling point to me because I would used to only be able to do like, you know, one sleeve, collect everything up at the end, and do the next sleeve. But now I can just run both of them the same time and save time. And
oh, that's awesome.
Use bungee cords, though.
oh yeah, I use bungee cords like sometimes to if I need to like put the t-shirt up, I just put it between each of the arms and just
bungee cords between each pallet.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that before. That's pretty cool. And they stick. You have no problem with them like coming off or anything?
No, it works perfectly. And then when you're done with the job, you can take them off, and it's the cheapest, easiest solution ever.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Do you guys have any like favorite customer horror stories? You don't have to name the customer.
That's mine. Those are my stories.
Okay, I want those.
Oh God, Dan. I think the reason why Dan married me is because my customer service skills, really. So I worked for him over the years a few times. It's tapered off since I started tattooing. It went back into COVID, but I've dealt with some of the worst customers. We had a guy that was getting t-shirts made for his kids, like Little League thing, which in my experience, I don't know what it is. It's like the kids sports teams are nightmare jobs, and those are the jobs. Like every time I train somebody now, I say like, if you get a job where it's for a kids sports team, just say no. We don't care. We don't care if you get 1,000 t-shirts. Nothing. We're not.
We don't really either.
No, the worst. And he was so controlling over the artwork. It was one of those things where like he didn't really have the artwork. He wanted us to do it, and like we always try to keep everything to email so that we have like a trail of everything.
Yeah, we do too.
He insisted on coming in. He insisted on calling me. I gave out my personal phone number, which I never do. And why was he even upset? I don't remember why he was upset at the end of the job.
I don't even remember either.
He was mad about something. I think it was something to do with like maybe a few of the things were crooked or something. And we ended up having, he would call me at like 6 a.m. all day until like 10 o'clock at night, trying to like tell me all these like crazy things. And we ended up having to just pay him to leave us, or we paid him to leave us alone.
Yeah, it came to where he wanted to get like money back for like the job, and he supplied all of his own garments.
Yeah, he supplied a bunch of Under Armour
stuff.
stuff.
Don't ever do that. And
yeah,
the Under Armour stuff, he wanted me to replace it, and his wife was a lawyer. He sat me down with his wife, and you know, I was intimidated because I was like, oh my God, they're going to destroy me.
Yeah, we ended up just having to write them a check, and then they left us alone. It was terrible. So that like we have very strict rules. Day one, anybody that works for us, we don't accept client supplied garments, and we do not do sports apparel. Like hard no across the board.
Anybody who wants to supply their own garment is just going to be a cheapskate anyway that you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
Right. No, I fully agree on that.
Great. We had another guy who we're doing a lot of his shirts. We did a lot of his shirts, and he was doing a convention, and it was a rush job, and he had moved, and so the address that we had was wrong, and I didn't double check before I shipped him because we had shipped so many things to him before, and the post office ended up losing it, and he would just call me every day and just scream at me for how like much money I was costing him for these shirts being lost in the mail. And
yeah, and that was like like the same week we flooded and lost almost everything.
Yeah, he just had to call me and scream at me about the post office losing it because we caught the address and we asked him to hold it at the post office, and we lost it, and that was a complete nightmare. I can't think of any other nightmares.
Oh, I mean, I can go all day if you want, but
yeah.
But I think the printing ones.
Like, do you ever have someone ask you for jumbo prints?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they trying to get you to do it on hoodies over top of the pockets with multiple colors?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bro, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I can do jumbo prints, but I'm telling you, it's not going to work.
Yeah, we get stuff like that all the time, and I always tell like anybody who's the salesperson that's trying to deal with that, and I'm just like, it's easier now to just let them down now than to get involved. Like in the beginning, I feel like it was just because you're a new business, you look at stuff like that and you're like, I could probably figure that out, you know what I mean? But then you get so involved and then you try it and it's not working out, and then the customer's already given you a ton of money and you're trying to do it, and it just ends up being a huge mess. Like anytime I see something now that I'm like, I just know, like I have that instant gut feeling, I'm like, this isn't gonna fucking work out, and this is not gonna be the way that they think it's gonna be. I just tell them like, hey, sorry, that's not something we do. And 9 times out of 10 they'll just do something different that's doable. But yeah, I always just tell them like, yeah, just set their expectations now.
Yeah.
Not that we can't do cool shit, but there's always people like giving you stuff that's like impossible. Like we get people all the time that are like, oh, I want my print to like, can I get my print where it's like a fucking dragon that starts here and goes all the way around the side and comes to the back? I'm like, dude, no. Like, it's not realistic. I was like, yeah, we can print like 15 inches wide.
Yeah.
I was like, it can go here, not here. Or the one where they give you the front and it goes, their mock-up always goes on the sleeves.
Yeah. I mean, they make, like pallets to do that, but I mean.
Right, but it's not like.
An arm and a leg for those.
Right, and you're not a fucking Outer Banks shop.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those people that buy those, it just says like Outer Banks on the back, and it's
right.
like, they're like college shirts.
That's the first thing I train our employees whenever I'm training somebody to take over the customer service stuff. Because we kind of keep our staff really small, and I still keep like my toe in the water, I guess. But the first thing I tell everybody, I tell everybody like, say no. Like, we do not have to bend over backwards for clients. They need to have their
do what you're good at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are not hurting for the money that we need to say yes to every job. We're going to do better if we say yes to the things that we know we can do. If they don't have the artwork, or if they're like, oh, I just need like 3 t-shirts and blah, blah, blah. Like, nope, we have a minimum. If you don't have the artwork, tough shit. Like, we are very, very strict about all of our rules for our clients. And it's led to us having like a really smooth workflow. Like, all our clients are really awesome to work with. And it like sucks a little bit saying no to jobs when you're kind of slow and you're like, man, if I would have just done this, but it always ends up being a nightmare. So setting those boundaries was something that like I had to fight with him a little bit on, where I was like, no, we're not doing this. Like, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be nothing but a headache, and it's not gonna lead to anything good. So like saying no is great.
Well, that was the hardest thing that I've had to learn as a business owner, is just when to say no. And that's probably why I've taken on and done so many weird projects, from like album covers to like flasks I printed one time. Like,
there were mini flasks we screen printed.
Yeah, I feel like that's super important, like that a lot of people need to realize. And again, me as an owner too, like I had a really hard time with that for a long time, because especially when you have employees and shit too, you're like, you're trying to get as much business in as possible to have that safety net to be like, we have money to like make payroll, we have money to pay the bills and all this other stuff. And then when somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I have like a $3,000 order, and you're like, fuck, I'd like that, but this job's gonna suck. Like, we're not actually gonna make anywhere near that because of how much this is gonna suck. Yeah. Or we're gonna have to replace a bunch of shit or whatever. So it's like, it's definitely better to say no, and then just fill your schedule with shit that you're actually good at.
Because you're gonna put that stuff out there, and then people are gonna come to you. If you do something that you're not skilled on, you put that out there, that's always the thing that people are gonna come to you and ask for more of.
Yeah.
Right.
Never fails.
Right. And I definitely feel like I said, looking at your guys' stuff, like you definitely are in a niche, you know what I mean? Like the more and more you do that, the more and more you're going to get like that. And then you're just going to have nothing but that shit. And I feel like that's kind of what we ended up doing, is we just pushed really hard towards those things that we're really good at. And I was doing a podcast with somebody a little while ago, and they were asking like, how big do you want to grow and all this other stuff? I'm like, dude, I'm good. Like right now I'm where I want to be. I just want to print the cool shit all day long. And then when I have somebody that comes to me with a job I don't want, I'm like, sorry, we're full, or, we can't do that right now. So is that kind of the same for you guys?
I listened to your podcast. Like, I binged it all weekend as I'm like using a grinder on the conference board, shit like that. You saying like, I'm happy to hear about the 2 press like rule that you've been repeating, because that's kind of where I want to stop.
Yeah. Well, my thing with that is, it's just like, I wanted to do that anyway because that's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've talked to a lot of like older dudes who's been in this industry for a really long time, and you always ask them, they have like fucking 30 autos or something at their shop, and you're like, when were you most happy? And they were like, back when we had like 2 autos and like 10 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why the fuck wouldn't you stay there? Like, I get the whole like your mind is set as a business owner to be like grow, and it's like growing just leads to more and more stress and more headaches. And then when you have something like COVID happen, and you have like 55 employees, and you have like tons of payments on all this equipment and everything else, it's like you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like you are so fucked.
We
And it's like right now, I literally own the building I'm in. It's paid for. All my equipment's paid for. Like I was telling people, like with COVID, like if I literally had to shut down, it's only costing me $800 a month to keep this place open, because that's my electric and gas bill. Everything else is paid for. Like I don't have any bills other than payroll. But if nobody's working here, if everybody was home and laid off for COVID, I would only have to come up with $800 a month to like keep all my shit.
Super easy to do.
Yeah. And even it wouldn't even be $800 because there would be nobody here with running the electric and gas.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like a quarter of that.
You can do one job a month and go home.
Right, exactly. I could come in by myself and print a job and be like, well, I have extra money now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I bought this building 10 years ago.
Oh, so yeah, you're super in the clear, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, I got super lucky with this building because I was like, I could have been like you, where I just walked in. I started in a 2-car garage, and after the first year, I was bursting at the seams. I was like, I cannot fucking stay here anymore. So I went into our local town, like where I live, and I just started looking for like rental spaces because I was like, I need something bigger. And then there was this old train station here, and the guy owned a sportsman shop where he had like guns and bows and arrows and fishing stuff, but he was old and he wanted to retire. But he had the bow area that they used to have. It's like this long warehouse where they would shoot bows inside. And he didn't have anything in there anymore. And I came in one day, and I knew the guy because like everybody in my town knows everybody because there's only 1,000 people here. And I just started talking to him. I was like, hey, do you want to like rent out this space? Like I have a screen printing shop that, you know, so I want to do. He's like, I'm not really looking to like take on anybody to rent, but like, do you want to buy the building? And at that time, I was like so young in business. I was like, I'm not fucking buying this building. Like to me, that was like, it could have been like $1 billion. I was like, I can't get this regardless. Like I do not have the money for this. Yeah. And I was like, there's no way. But luckily, I knew the local real estate agent guy really well. And I talked to him, and I was just like, do you know of any rental places? And he's like, oh, well, Hap told me that like you stopped in to see him. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, the building's for sale for like 130,000 or whatever. He's like, but he's not going to get that because it's an old train station, and it has like the train would literally pull off right beside the building and like drop like grains and shit into a tank, and it would like go into the building. He's like, years and years of them doing that, they dropped like all kinds of farming chemicals like on the ground. Like it's hazardous basically out there.
Yeah,
like the dirt.
Phase 1 environmental.
Right. Like don't eat the dirt basically. And they told me too, this was like off the record, but like they put new sewer system in the town, and it went right down the road in front of our building. The construction guys, when they were like, whatever, like 5-6 feet in the ground, like digging for the thing, a lot of them got like full body rashes.
Oh,
and I was like, cool. Well, the first thing we did is like, well, long story short, he ended up talking to Hap about like the price, and he couldn't sell it for what he wanted it for. So I came down one day, Hap called me in. He's like, let's talk or whatever. He's like, how about 60,000?
Oh, man.
And I was like, that sounds a lot better. He's like, do you have any money down? I had like 10 grand that I borrowed from my parents. I was like, here's 10 down. I only owe 50. So I paid that 50 off. Dude, I bought this building cheaper than I bought my Sportsman.
Fuck,
Yeah,
man.
that's...
But like I said, there was a lot of shitty stuff in this building. Like it was a building basically, but like shit was leaking, or like, you know, these rooms were fucking garbage. So like the first thing I did is like when we got in here was like we did all the labor ourselves, like fixed as much as possible and like whatever. Like the first 3 years we were here, it was like desks in a room with like shitty walls or like no drywall or whatever. And then like
it was like this place.
Right. But little by little we were like, all right, let's like do all new electric and sheetrock and insulation in the office. And then it was like, all right, let's do 3-phase power, all new plumbing. And then it was like, let's renovate all the heating, cooling units in the building. And then, like I said, over 10 years, you get to the point where now it's like a brand new building. Like my office is all new. The shop's all basically brand new. Next door, they're renovating right now, like literally right now. And then we renovated the other end into a rental space that pays, guess what her rent is every month? $800. So that pays for the whole fucking building.
So if COVID hits, and
I'm at zero.
At home,
Yeah, I'm at zero. I own nothing. So that's what I'm saying is like I position myself to be like, you know, I don't have any overhead other than payroll for the most part. So
that's
like
the way to do it, man.
It's the dream for me. And people are like, "Oh, you could grow, you could do this, you could do this." I'm like, dude, why? Like I fucking print badass designs all day long that are fun for me and you know, fulfilling. And then at the end of the day, I can go ride. Like right now, I'm doing a podcast with you, which is fun. And then at, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm going to hop on my Harley that's out front and we're going to go eat steaks. And then if Corona wasn't fucking happening, we would go to the movies. Like every Thursday, that's what I do is I do this, steaks, movies. I'm at home by like 1 a.m. and then I fucking print the next day.
Awesome.
If I had like fucking 9 autos and all these employees, I would be home fucking pulling my hair out.
I know.
Being like,
figuring out how to pay for everything.
Right. Like how.
What's going on with this job? What's going on with that job? I got to go and sell to like some other like dude I don't like.
Right. I'm going to have to take on a ton of contract work, or I'm going to have to do this and pay this. And it's like, for me, it's the employees. Like that's the scariest part is getting people's lives involved. Like they look at you every Friday for that paycheck. You know, you don't know their personal life I mean, you do to a degree, but you don't know, like they might be shitty with money and they're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And it's like, if something happens where you're just like, I don't have it this week, like you're going to have to wait, like they're fucked. And that's terrifying to me. Like that literally makes me sick to my stomach. And I'm just like, ugh. And I've been there. Like the first couple of years we were here, like, yeah, shit happens. You're slow, like super slow in the wintertime. Like I've sold stuff to like make payroll. Like I used to have an extra truck that I sold to like make payroll 1 week. And it's like, but that's like when you're young and you're starting out and you're learning things and you're like fucking stuff up. And it's like, now I've gotten to the point where I'm like way better with my finances and like that's not at all a thing anymore. But like shit like that happens. And that's what people don't realize. It's just like you don't understand like what you're sacrificing by like growing and growing and growing things.
Yeah.
Owning a business sucks.
It does and it doesn't. There's definitely times where I'm like, I would rather just collect a paycheck from somebody. But there's days like, I don't know, we had one a couple days ago where it was like, do you want to just like, we're ahead on schedule. Do you guys just want to like go fucking ride around or like do something fun today? Like you can't do that if you work for somebody else.
That's true.
Yeah.
Plus it's rewarding, like doing things and supplying things for people and all that other stuff. Well, we talked a lot about me, which is weird. Do you guys get a lot of your business from social media?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like in a weird transitional period where I feel like I'm just trying to fire as many clients as possible.
We're in that say no phase.
Yeah.
Because just I have like a few that are kind of, you know, like, you know, good to work with and they're paying the bills and everyone here is happy doing the work. And so why am I trying to like do all this extra
Right, exactly.
stuff? You know, everyone wants to start their own fucking clothing brand.
Yeah.
And like I'm trying to fire a lot of people. The reason I do most of the online like social media, because I kind of hate doing social media, is just to try to sell some of our own stuff and to, you know, let people know we're here.
Right.
Yeah, with him like wanting to collaborate with so many artists and stuff, like we have to sell our own merchandise that he has passion projects that he does, you know, where he like, you know, I know a lot of tattooers obviously from what I do, and so he'll meet like, you know, a coworker or a friend of mine and be like, man, I really love this artwork, like I would love to print something to really sell it. So the social media thing is kind of imperative to making that happen.
Yeah.
So we've had to establish kind of a brand personality. And,
yeah.
the girl that we hired, I've known for a really long time, and she's got like an amazing personality and social media presence, and she's taken over our like Instagram account, and I think she's been killing it. Just putting a lot of like humor and things like that in there, so that we do attract those clients that like that. So it's tend to be people that we work with the best. Yeah.
No, I feel like it's weird because like I like doing it because it's like this for me. It's like the podcast where like I'm connected to so many other shops or so many other artists or whatever that we always talk to each other. It's kind of like for me, it's like back when you were like 15 and you were on AIM and you're, you know, in your bedroom on your fucking computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like I used to get home from school and the first thing you would do is go on your computer and turn AIM on. And it's like, who's here that we can talk to? It's like that for me. It's like that all day long. So that is really important to me, but we do get a lot of business from Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, just because we're in a visual market. Like we print a really cool design and we post it on Instagram. I might get like 30 DMs or something, and they're like, oh, I really like that. Like I have a brand. Can you print something like that for me or whatever? So like, I didn't know if that's where you were getting a lot of your stylistic customers from, or was it just kind of like word of mouth, or were you hunting them down, or?
We don't really hunt anybody down.
Yeah, I don't hunt anybody down. I don't do any advertising. I think, so recently I feel like I'm just becoming a part of the printers community, because I feel like when I was like growing up and when I was doing Pizza Party and stuff like that, I was more in the horror, you know, community. I was doing like horror convention after horror convention, trying to sell our own merch, you know, and it was more trying to hustle a brand than it was than, you know, focusing on like a print shop. And when I left that, I kind of like lost my identity, and I had to kind of figure out, who am I as a printer? Who am I trying to do? And, you know, and I fucked up a lot in the beginning trying to figure out what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But I think that when it came down to it, like where I'm at now, I'm like, I just like smoking weed with my coworkers and then printing t-shirts.
Yeah. But the thing you need to realize is there's a lot of people like you who like to smoke weed and hang out with their coworkers.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, like getting involved with like print community online is huge, just because like learning things and, you know, sharing things. And
yeah, this is the first time that we've really been connected to other print communities. He's just been doing it by himself.
Yeah.
And we have horror friends that like, they have brands that are horror movie focused, and the print is kind of like on the backside of it a little bit. They, you know, they're not as big. They don't have the clientele or whatever. And so they all like, a lot of them look up to Dan, and he doesn't have anybody that he can like bounce stuff off of very often. So
yeah.
it's really cool for him to like find this podcast and like, you know, find this community and talk to people who know this stuff, because it can be very isolating when you're going through this and you don't know anybody else who does that.
Right. But there's a lot of people who are doing, like, going through the exact same thing that you guys are going through. And like I said, it's nice to be able to bounce ideas off of other printers and stuff too, because you could have an idea, or you could have been doing something for like 8-10 years a certain way. And then like I had one the other day, we were talking to Ryan on the Shirt Show podcast. We were talking to him, and he was like, yeah, you know, like when you put too much glue on your palette and you just use like a bar of soap to like bring the tack down. I was like, wait, what did you say?
Yeah, this is new to me.
Right. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you know, if you like accidentally overglue your palette and you go to put a design on and you don't want to stretch the shit out of it or like warp the design, he's like, you can just take a bar of like a bar of like Dial soap and like put a little bit on the palette, and then it brings the tack way down, and then you can like keep going.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm just gonna go.
Bar of soap.
Right. But do you see what I mean? That's like 1 second of information that some dude figured out who's in the same boat as you, and now you have that information. And it's like, to me, it's like we were talking about that giddy moment of like when you print a process print, and you're like, hell yeah! Like you've been doing that shit for 10 years, and you print something, and you're like, fuck, you put too much glue on these pallets. Like now we gotta fucking scrub these down or put a bunch of test shirts on. He's like, now you know you can just use a fucking bar of soap.
Yeah.
And it's like. Right. And like people were using fucking Windex for like screen opener and like just stupid shit that it's like, you learn that from talking to other printers that are just like, yeah, I've been doing this forever. You didn't know this? It's like, no, I didn't fucking know this. What are you talking about? Nobody teaches you this. Like, you have to learn it on your own.
It's the same with tattooing. It's like why people like grow so much going to do guest spots, working with other shops.
Right. You see how other people do things.
Yeah.
Me and Matt Marcotte were just talking about that yesterday. I recently stepped into doing the Print Legion Instagram account. Yeah, and we were talking about getting Print Legion tattoos. So now it sounds like we just need to go see you guys, and we can get we can get Print Legion tattoos.
Yeah. That'd be fun as hell.
Yeah. So what's the best place for people to check you guys out then? Instagram and the website and
Instagram
for sure.
And what is it? Is it at Sage Printing?
Sage Screen Printing.
Sage Screen Printing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any like favorite podcasts or books and stuff that you like to read or recommend? Well, you already told me about that. What was the guy's website there for the class?
Oh, the T-Steps guy.
Yeah. You'll have to find that and send that to me, like what his website is.
Because I've even told some of my other friends that have print shops, you know, and sometimes they'll just send like the separations to me, and I'm like, you know, you do realize you could just take this class and learn how to do it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've just done it all.
Doing it.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, it's helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have any other things that you like to listen to, or books or anything that kind of helped you with printing? Just a shitload of YouTube.
Yeah, well, so when I first started out, it was like before like Ryanette was around and everything else like that. So it was just like me going and trying to find any kind of literature I can on the internet. Why is it doing this to me? Mm-hmm. And but I do feel like the Ryanette videos were super helpful with trying to like, you know, some just like little tiny things that he might mention here or there in his videos, you know, like when you're coating a screen, you know, coat it and then flip it over and then coat it in the other direction because it, it totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I was saying about little nuggets of information that you learn from other printers all day long. So talk to us more, man. Come on, you do cool shit. We want to hang out.
No, I'd love to.
Part of the club, girl.
And I was talking to her, and I was like, oh, we should do like a collaboration, like little art project together. and I was saying that we should do like a long sleeve T-shirt.
You can do the sleeves. We'll do the front.
Well, I was gonna say we can do one of us does like the front and one of the sleeves, and the other one does the back and the other sleeve.
Okay, as long as it doesn't exceed 3 3/4 inches, I'm good.
You might have lost him there.
Yeah, I think so.
No, that's cool.
Skinny sleeves.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to do like a collaboration like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll drive up someday. I mean, I'll drive up or I'll ride up. We'll come up and hang out and check out the shop and get tattoos and
just
on our faces.
On a little book.
Well, we got to do it at night in his basement with bloody noses.
Fair. All right.
All right. We'll give each other bloody noses. We'll share blood from our noses.
Yeah. I will use it as ink.
Yeah.
You ever had anybody ask you about that?
That's
what?
A story.
I've had people ask me if like, can you screen print with blood?
No.
And they wanted me to get like pig's blood from like a butcher to screen print.
I think you went too far into that horror niche.
I know. Is the horror in the metal?
That was actually from death metal bands.
Dude, we had a print, and I wanted to bring this up a little while ago, but we had a print that it was like super, you know, that scratchy like death metal logos that you can barely fucking read. Yeah. They're just like this. We did one probably like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago. And the band sent us the artwork. We mocked it up, got it approved, printed it. 2 months later of like them already having it and selling it at shows, one of their fans at a show was like, you know, this logo's upside down. And they didn't even fucking know. That's how horrible metal logos are, is that they didn't even know. They didn't even know their design was upside down.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love
that. This industry is so similar to tattooing. Like all these stories that you guys are telling, it's the same with tattooing.
Yeah, it's like I've noticed a lot that like a lot of the trades, it could be an electrician, like a guy who's building a house, a tattoo artist, anybody who's just basically like creating on their own and trying to make a business for it. We all have the same stories. Like it could be, like I said, you could be building a house and you do it and the customer's just like on your ass, or they hate it or they love it. It's like, it's all the same. Like we all have the same shit. That's why it's funny to like just talk to any entrepreneur about anything. And they're like, yeah, I did this thing to get through this. And it's like, I've had that exact same experience.
Yeah. Like people getting Arabic tattoos and they don't read Arabic and it's upside down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, dude, both of you guys, thanks for doing this with me. Let's keep in touch and talk more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys. I'm going to go eat some steak now.
Yeah, enjoy, man.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Peace.